Hello and welcome to Newsfeed, your daily dose of what people are talking about online. Love him or hate him, you cannot ignore Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. The couple have come under wave after wave of attacks, especially since their Spotify podcast deal imploded. But now Netflix have leapt to their defense, even amid reports the streaming giant is underwhelmed with the amount of content Harry and Meghan have produced under their $100 million deal.
The bond with Archewell Productions is one we deeply value. Harry and Meghan launched as Netflix's most spectacular documentary debut to date. Our exciting journey with them isn't ending anytime soon. We're currently collaborating on numerous projects, including the much-anticipated documentary series, Heart of Invictus.
H&M, as their staff call them, have been eviscerated since their Spotify podcast deal worth $20 million came to a sudden end this month. They have been called grifters by Spotify's head of podcast innovation and monetization, having delivered only 12 episodes for the $20 million deal. And Meghan has also been branded untalented. United Talent Agency chief exec Jeremy Zimmer says turns out Meghan Markle was not a great audio talent or necessarily any kind of talent. Ouch! Meghan's podcast featured conversations with friends and big-name celebs like Serena Williams, Mariah Carey, and Trevor Noah. But since public opinion towards Harry and Meghan has shifted, not everyone wanted to be on the podcast. Meghan reportedly sent a personal letter asking Taylor Swift to be on the podcast, which she declined through a rep. Yep, major snub considering Swift didn't even take the time to reply personally. Nonetheless, Meghan's 12-episode podcast topped the charts in a number of markets after Spotify splashed out millions on ads and marketing with promos like this.
People should expect the real me in this, and probably the me that they've never gotten to know, certainly not in the past few years, where everything is through the lens of the media, as opposed to, hey, it's me. I'm just excited to be myself and talk and be unfiltered, and yeah, it's fun.
Okay, you may be wondering, why now? Why are Harry and Meghan back in the spotlight? Well, it's because of the Spotify deal being axed and some new revelations on the couple's work ethic and inexperience that's led to difficulty in them delivering the content they promised to Spotify and Netflix. A new scathing expose by the Wall Street Journal details just how the couple struggled to create content that didn't have to do with their own experiences within the royal family.
According to new exposés in the Wall Street Journal and Vanity Fair, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's likability is at an all-time low, and they might never make a comeback in Hollywood. The truth is, I've never seen two people who have it all and who are so liked sabotage their own careers so fast. It's almost like a cultural phenomenon. You have these two people, they flee to America, America embraces them, they get all these deals, and then they tank. One of the big issues with Harry and Meghan is that they tried to take on the royal family, then they tried to take on the British press, then they tried to take on the American press, and everything they do requires the press. Prince Harry and Meghan were criticized in the UK for being lazy, entitled, and not wanting to work, and now here in the US, executives are saying the exact same thing. I know this sounds harsh, but these are two wealthy, able-bodied individuals who have really done nothing to improve society and have no successful projects outside of talking about their families. Another issue with Harry and Meghan is that they're so out of touch, they consider themselves the relatable ones, the ones who are down to earth, while they sit in their mansion out in California. I mean, these two had the audacity to go on Oprah and complain about their kids not having titles while the world was on lockdown, people were out of jobs, businesses were going under. They really were so out of touch.
But believe it or not everyone has it out for the Duchess of Sussex. Political and women's rights activist Dr. Shola Mos-Shopamimu says Meghan doesn't deserve being constantly attacked.
People, listen to me very carefully because I shall say this only once. Nobody gives a flying flamingo how you feel about Meghan Markle.
Broke into a sweat there.
I'm sorry, but her popularity was never high in the first place. If it's gone down by 2% or another 5%, Meghan doesn't care nobody cares because the foundation upon which this dislike is built on is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, she has been quiet since January 2020, I think since their documentary in November. It is Harry that came out with his book in January. It is Harry that was doing the string of, interviews around the world. It's Harry that's, constantly in the papers now because of the legitimate action it's taking against the papers. She said absolutely nothing, and you still don't like her. The problem here is not Meghan Markle. The problem here is you. So leave the woman or take her name out of your mouths. Thank you.
On to another controversy. Barack Obama is currently getting a lot of flack in India. The former U.S. president is being called a hypocrite by prominent politicians from the ruling BJP. Why? Well, it's because of this CNN interview. Journalist Christiana Mampour called Narendra Modi a leader of an illiberal democracy and asked Obama how he'd engage with such figures. Obama responded by saying he'd urge the Indian government to protect the rights of minority Muslims. When the interview aired last week, the Indian PM was on a state visit to the U.S.
If the president meets with Prime Minister Modi, then the protection of the Muslim minority in a majority Hindu India, that's something worth mentioning. And by the way, if I had a conversation with Prime Minister Modi, who I know well, part of my argument would be that if you do not protect the rights of ethnic minorities in India, then there is a strong possibility India at some point starts pulling apart.
Well, Obama's comments obviously didn't sit too well with many Indian officials. They've been clapping back by insisting the country doesn't discriminate against people over their religion.
People should try to understand the secular character of India. Obama should also think about how many Muslim countries he's attacked.
United States के विषय में
We want a good friendship with the US, but its former President Barack Obama has made some comments about India's religious tolerance, when in fact, 6 countries were bombed because of him. Have bombings not occurred in Syria, Saudi Arabia, Yemen, and Iraq? Given Obama's political history, why should anyone listen to such allegations from him?
But while Indian ministers point fingers and insist there's no discrimination against minorities, a proposal by PM Narendra Modi to introduce a uniform civil code that would cover all religions has angered Muslim groups. The proposed legislation would do away with Sharia laws in India that apply to Muslims. The Uniform Civil Code would see one set of laws to cover things like marriage, inheritance, and custody, regardless of one's religion. Modi says the country can't continue to run on 2 sets of laws. Currently, the multi-faith nation of 1.4 billion people allows religious communities to follow their own traditions for marriage, divorce, property, and adoption. But minority groups say the new bill would erode their rights and could be used to discriminate against them. In recent years, the UN and US State Department have raised concerns about the treatment of Muslims, Dalits, Christians, and other religious minorities in India. Well, on a lighter note, if you're planning a holiday to Italy this summer, here is what you should not do. Well, this tourist carved his girlfriend's name into Rome's Coliseum, a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Insane, right? Another tourist captured this footage of the man using his keys to deface a 1,900-year-old structure. Now, Italy's culture minister wants the vandalizer identified and sanctioned. He tweeted that he considers the incident very serious, unworthy, and a sign of great incivility that a tourist can deface one of the most famous places in the world. And what will happen to this man if caught? Well, he faces up to 5 years in prison or a fine of over $16,000, a lot more than one would have paid to a summer trip to Rome. And believe it or not, this kind of vandalism is not uncommon at tourism sites across Italy, even though the country has some strict rules to prevent such bad behavior. Speaking of bad tourist behavior, does taking lots of pictures or selfies during a holiday count as poor etiquette? Well, most people don't think so. But some say you're not truly experiencing your holiday when all you're thinking about is how it'll look on social media. Well, that's why Finland has announced the world's first phone-free tourist island. Tourists to Ulkotamio will be asked to keep their phones in their pockets this summer, is to take a break from social media and actually enjoy nature. Finnish officials hope their initiative will encourage other tourist destinations around the world to follow suit. They say it's an opportunity for tourists to carry out a digital fast, unplug and unwind to boost their mood and overall well-being. Although the digital fast is 100% voluntary. Don't worry, you won't be shamed if you use your phone there. Also, mobile networks will still be available on the island just in case of an emergency. Imagine being able to shave 2 years off your life overnight. Well, that's just what's happened to thousands of South Koreans. And everyone else there is now officially 1 year younger. The government has abandoned its traditional system of counting someone's age as 1 year old when they're born and then adding a year every January 1st. So if you were born on New Year's Eve, you'd have become 2 years old at the stroke of midnight. Nearly 90% of South Koreans are expected to adopt the international system, but some people are expected to continue to use the traditional method in informal settings, like teenagers who want to appear older, I'm guessing. Well, here's how the previous age counting system worked.
Korean age, when you're born, you're automatically 1 year old. And the confusing thing for non-Koreans to get is that everyone's age changes at the same time on New Year's. So for instance, if you were born really close to the end of the year, you could be 2 years old pretty quickly. This is part of the reason why Korean people typically will ask you what year you were born in as opposed to asking for your age.
Wait, it means I'm going to be younger for 2 years?
Yep.
And like the guy in that TikTok, a lot of South Koreans have welcomed becoming younger overnight.
I'm supposed to be 30 next year, but with this new age system, I became 2 years younger. It's just great to feel like you're getting younger, and I feel a bit of distance from becoming 30. I'm so happy that I can celebrate this year's birthday once again at a younger age.
I like being younger because then my mom will take care of me longer.
Artificial intelligence these days is not only breaking the internet, but also the art world. Here's the million-dollar question, though. Can AI-generated or assisted designs actually be considered art? Well, one celebrated Turkish-American artist certainly thinks so. And if you look at his work, you too may be convinced. Lara paints the picture for us.
Algorithms and AI have helped breathe life into Refik Anadol's art. This immersive experience at a Los Angeles gallery is aptly named Living Paintings. The interesting part? Despite being heavily tech-driven, the Turkish artist's creations feel natural and organic. Anadol's masterpieces use AI to interpret Californian landscapes, turning datasets into poetry. Pacific Ocean showcases high-frequency radar data images of the ocean, while The Winds of LA was created from wind data collected from weather sensors. The signature piece is undoubtedly Coral Dreams, where one can dreamily lose track of time.
Behind me now, we are watching these corals that are not real but looks very real. In this project, specifically AI trained on 100 million coral images. And unfortunately, the current climate change is damaging all the corals. But the question is, can we use AI to preserve our memories?
For Anadol, art is not just about the aesthetics, but also about enhancing the human mind. After losing his uncle to Alzheimer's disease, he dedicated his time to bringing a new, deeper dimension to art, and to create these hypnotizing digital memories. Anadol and his team spend months curating the data they use.
The work is using generative AI, and it's using a custom algorithm that I've been developing last 10 years. Since I coined the term data painting, I'm trying to create artworks with machine learning algorithms, specifically AI.
To ensure that there are no privacy or copyright issues, the algorithm scrubs all human elements from images it uses. So, it'll get rid of human faces, people's names, and even reference artwork created by people.
I always heard this concerns about is it like human art, is it AI art, digital art? I think this is a very common problem for anyone pushing the boundaries of imagination, anyone pushing for breakthroughs and pioneership with these new tools.
It's the perfect collaboration of human and machine, with Anadol being in control of the narrative and final pieces, and AI being used as a thinking brush.
And that's our show. Find us on YouTube and do subscribe to our channel. Bye and see you soon.